My mom grabbed the microphone at my sister-in-law's wedding and said, "Maya's not married, but she's still good for a check." The entire reception went silent. What she didn't know was that check would be the last thing I ever gave this family. Hi, I'm Maya, and I'm 32 years old. I'm a graphic designer. I've never been married, and that's by choice. I love my independence. I love my work. I love my life. But my family? They saw me differently. They saw a single woman with money and no responsibilities. They saw someone who should be grateful to fund their happiness. I wasn't the married one with kids like my brother's wife Jessica, but I had something they always counted on: my wallet. I wasn't rich or glamorous, but I had something they didn't expect: boundaries they were about to cross for the last time. If your family has ever used you as their personal ATM while publicly humiliating you, subscribe right now and tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I read every single one, because what happened next changed everything. The wedding was at this upscale venue downtown. Crystal chandeliers, white tablecloths, 200 guests in their best outfits. I arrived early that morning because Jessica had called me in a panic. "Maya, the caterer needs the balance today," she said, her voice shaking. $3,000. I know it's a lot, but I should have said no. I'd already spent $1,500 on her bridal shower, $800 on the bachelorette party in Vegas, $400 on this bridesmaid dress that made me look like a mint green marshmallow. But Jessica was crying. My brother David was pacing behind her. "You know we're still paying off the engagement ring," David said. "Jessica will be devastated if anything goes wrong. You're the only one who can help us." So I wrote the check, like I always did. The ceremony was beautiful. Jessica looked stunning in her grandmother's lace dress. David couldn't stop smiling. I felt happy for them. Really, I did. Even if I was tired of being the family bank. During the reception after dinner, my mom stood up. She'd had a few glasses of champagne. She grabbed the microphone from the DJ. "I want to thank everyone who made this day special," she said, swaying slightly. "Our friends, our family, everyone who contributed." I smiled, thinking she'd mention the vendors, maybe the wedding party. Then she looked right at me. "And of course, we have to thank Maya. She's not married, but she's still good for a check. Some people find love, others just write checks." The room went quiet. You could hear the ice clinking in people's glasses. My face burned hot. Jessica whispered, "Oh my God, I'm so sorry," but she was still smiling for the photographer. Everyone was staring at me. Some people laughed nervously. Others looked away. I forced a smile, raised my glass like it was all a joke. But inside, I was dying. I realized this wasn't the first time. Every family gathering had jokes about me being the spinster with money, the aunt who pays for everything because she has nothing else to do. Later that night, I was in the bathroom when I heard Jessica talking to her friend Sarah in the hallway. "Thank God for single Maya," Jessica said, laughing. "She basically paid for our honeymoon too. I mentioned we wanted to go to Italy, and she just transferred money into our account." My stomach dropped. I had given them that money as a gift, a gesture of love, and they were talking about it like I was some desperate woman buying their affection. But that was just the beginning. 2 weeks later, my cousin Emma sent me screenshots from our family group chat. I wasn't included in this particular conversation. The messages made my blood run cold. My brother had written, "Maya's got no life anyway, might as well spend it on ours." My mom replied, "That's what single women do. Live through other people's happiness." My dad added, "At least she's useful for something." I stared at my phone in my kitchen. The coffee in my mug had gone cold. These were the people I'd been supporting for years. This was how they really saw me. 1 month later, Jessica called with exciting news. She was pregnant. Before I could even congratulate her, she was already planning. "I want you to host the baby shower," she said. "You're so good at organizing events, and you know how tight money is for us right now." I hesitated. "Jessica, I've been helping out a lot lately." "Maya," my mom interrupted. She'd been listening on speaker. "Don't be selfish. This is your first niece or nephew. What else are you spending your money on? Cats?" The whole extended family was there when she said it. Aunts, uncles, cousins, they all laughed, like it was hilarious that I might want to spend my own money on myself. So I caved. I spent $2,200 on that baby shower, rented the community center, hired a caterer, bought decorations, games, prizes. Everything was perfect. Jessica posted about it on Instagram the next day. Thanks to Auntie ATM for throwing the most amazing shower. Blessed to have family, ATM life. Auntie ATM. That's what I was to them. 2 months later, at Sunday family dinner, I was actually excited about something. I'd just landed my biggest client ever, a tech startup that wanted me to redesign their entire brand identity. It was huge for my business. Dad, guess what? I said over dessert. I just signed a contract with. That's nice, honey, Dad interrupted, not even looking up from his pie. But when are you going to get a real job and settle down? You're 32. My excitement deflated like a punctured balloon. At least your little art projects pay for our celebrations, David added, smirking. Mom delivered the final blow. Maya's always been good with money because she has no life to spend it on. Everyone laughed. Again. I sat there, fork halfway to my mouth, realizing something important. Each of these incidents was chipping away at my desire to please them. I was starting to see the pattern. They didn't see me as family. They saw me as a walking wallet with no feelings, no dreams, no life worth respecting. What they didn't know was that my little art projects had just landed a 6-figure contract. That tech startup, they were paying me $85,000 for 6 months of work. My business grossed $180,000 last year. That's more than David makes teaching high school, more than Jessica makes working part-time at the boutique. For 2 years, I'd been documenting every family loan and gift in a spreadsheet. $15,847. That's what I'd given them, not including birthday gifts, Christmas presents, or the random emergencies they always seemed to have. I started meeting regularly with Marcus, my business partner. We'd known each other since college. He'd watched this family dynamic for years, and he was getting fed up. Maya, you know they're using you, right? He said over coffee one Tuesday morning. You're worth 10 of them professionally. Marcus had been trying to convince me to expand the business. We needed investment capital, not family drama sucking away my resources. They don't respect you, he continued. They see you as their personal piggy bank. He was right. And I was starting to plan something they'd never expect. 3 months later, Jessica announced she was pregnant again. Before the first baby was even walking, she was planning another expensive celebration, a gender reveal party. The family group text lit up immediately. Maya can handle the venue and catering like always. Maya's got this covered. Maya loves planning parties. Notice how no one actually asked me. They just assigned me the expenses. Then David called me directly. We booked the country club, he said casually. $4,000 for the venue, plus catering. You're good for it, right? It's going to be amazing. I was taking screenshots of everything now. Every dismissive text, every assumption, every insult disguised as a joke. Marcus was helping me see how toxic this pattern had become. At my cousin's birthday party the week before the gender reveal, I overheard Jessica on the phone in the kitchen. Maya's desperate to be included, so she pays for everything, Jessica said to whoever was on the other end. It's actually kind of sad. She's buying her way into family events. My mom's voice drifted from the living room. She'd be lost without us to take care of. They thought I couldn't hear them. They thought I was in the bathroom, but I was standing right there, listening to them dissect my life like I was some pathetic charity case. That's when I made my decision. This ends now. The gender reveal party was that Saturday. I arrived at the country club with my purse, my phone, and a plan. Jessica rushed up to me immediately, waving an invoice. Maya. Perfect timing. Just $3,800 this time, not $4,000. The flowers were cheaper than expected. You're the best. She shoved the paper into my hands like it was automatic, like I was a vending machine that dispensed money when you pressed the right buttons. Actually, I said, loud enough for everyone to hear, I need to talk to everyone about something. The family gathered around. Aunts, uncles, cousins, my parents, David, Jessica, all waiting for their reliable ATM to make another deposit. I pulled out my phone. I want to share something with everyone about my little art projects, I said. I showed them a screenshot of my latest contract, $85,000, single project payment. The room went dead silent. This is what my business actually looks like, I continued. Last year, I grossed $180,000. That's more than most of you make combined. David's mouth fell open. Jessica went pale. My parents looked confused, like they couldn't process what I was saying. I pulled out a printed spreadsheet. I've also documented every family expense I've covered, I said, reading from the paper. $15,847 in 2 years. Not including gifts. That's more than most people make in 6 months. Maya, what are you doing? My mom whispered. Then I pulled out my secret weapon. I played a recording on my phone. Jessica's voice, clear as crystal. Maya's desperate to be included, so she pays for everything. It's actually kind of sad. And my mom's voice in the background. She'd be lost without us to take care of. Jessica started crying. Her face turned bright red. David looked like he wanted to disappear. Maya, you're taking this wrong. David started. Am I? I interrupted. Because I heard Jessica call me desperate for helping family. We didn't mean. Mom tried. You meant exactly what you said, I replied. I'm the single woman with no life who lives to fund your happiness. Marcus appeared beside me. I'd asked him to come as my witness. Maya's launching a second company next month, he announced. We'll need that $15,000 back as investment capital. The family realized they owed me money they couldn't possibly repay. Jessica was sobbing now. But what about the baby, she managed to say. I looked at her for a long moment. What about treating me like family, instead of a bank account? I took the gender reveal invoice from Jessica's hands. I tore it up, piece by piece, and let the paper fall to the country club's marble floor. Find someone else to fund your celebrations, I said. I'm done being your family ATM. I walked out while they sat in stunned silence. For weeks after, they called and texted constantly. First came the guilt trips. Then the apologies. Then more guilt trips. Maya, we're family, David wrote. You can't just abandon us. I never abandoned you, I texted back. You abandoned me every time you made me the punchline of your jokes. I changed my phone number. I blocked them on social media. I focused on expanding my business instead of funding their lives. My company grew 300% that year. I hired 3 employees. We moved to a better office in downtown. The tech startup was so happy with my work, they recommended me to 5 other companies. For once in my life, their silence didn't hurt me. It freed me to see my worth. I heard through my cousin Emma that Jessica's gender reveal ended up being a potluck in the church basement. The family was struggling without my financial support. Turns out, I'd been subsidizing their lifestyle more than any of us realized. I finally understood something important. I never needed their approval. I needed my own respect. Now I'm building relationships with people who value me as a person, not a bank account. People who celebrate my success instead of mocking it. People who see my independence as strength, not something to pity. If your family has ever treated you like their personal ATM while publicly humiliating you, you're not alone. Hit that subscribe button and tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I read every single comment. Have you ever had to cut off family financially? Share your story below. Sometimes we need to hear we're not crazy for setting boundaries. Your worth isn't measured by what you can pay for. Remember that. On your screen, 2 stories are calling you. Click and watch them now. Each one more gripping than the last.